All right, here's another example of conditional probability, Foundations of Math 30. This is number 6 in the text, so if you're following along the text, there's number 6. It says this: each day Melissa's math teacher gives the class a warm-up question. It's a true-false question 30% of the time, and multiple choice 70%. Melissa gets 60% of the true-false questions correct, and 80% of the multiple choice questions correct. Melissa answers today's question correctly. What's the probability that it was a multiple choice question? All right, so what we know is she answered today's question correctly. So it would be a good idea for us to find out what is the probability that she answered correctly. Okay. Now, how do we find that? Well, again, I would suggest that you use your tree diagrams, and let's attack that this way. So the first bit of information here says that it's a true-false question 30% of the time. So TF 30 out of 100, or let's just do 0.30. And it is multiple choice 0.70 there. Okay, so we know that on a given day, these are the chances that we have these types of tests. It also says that Melissa gets 60% of the true-false questions correct. Okay, so again, we're looking for probability that she's going to answer something correctly. So here's some information about her getting this question correct. So true, false, and here we go again. Let's do our another set of branches here. So there's correct and there's incorrect, and she gets this correct 60% of the time. So there's 60, and incorrect then would have to be 0.4. All right, so that's pretty good. So what about the multiple choice? What does it say about the multiple choice? 80% of the multiple choice questions she gets correct, which is pretty good at multiple choice. So here's correct. That's a probability of 0.80. And of course, we would have incorrect of 0.20. Okay, I hope you're following here so far. These conditional probability problems, great idea to do your tree diagram and then to outline the probabilities that make sense. And of course, we're looking for the probability that she gets the question correct. So here are the correct pathways, if you want to call them. So again, I'll just kind of highlight. Here's the first, it's true, false, she gets it correct. So we're going to find the probability over here that it's TF and correct. That's what we're going to find. And over here, she goes, if it's multiple choice and correct, this will give us the probability of those two events happening, right? And the probability that she gets the question correct is going to now be this probability or this probability. Okay? So that's the first step. I know that we have another question here. I understand that, and I'm going to get to that in a second. But Melissa answers today's question correctly. We need to know what are the chances of that happening, first of all. So that's what we're going to do here real quick. And again, I'm just going to pause the video here and just get some numbers ready for you. So these probabilities come from the multiplication of the individual probabilities. So the probability that's true, false, and correct is 0.18. The probability that's multiple choice and she gets it correct is this one. So the probability that she's getting today's question correct would be the sum of these two. Right? We add these two together, and that probability of correct today is then going to be that sum. Okay, so 18, what's that? 0.74. All right, so that's the probability that's correct. Now, the question actually says, what's the probability that it was a multiple choice question today? And this is pretty easy now, actually. What's the chance that it's a multiple choice question? Well, she first of all, she gets it correct. So it's going to be, here's correct, there's correct. Here's the multiple choice correct. You see that? So this right here is the probability of multiple choice and correct. So what we do then is we take this total, and this is the part of that total that involves a correct multiple choice question. So for the final part here, we say, and let's, if we want, we can go to our formula, can't we? What's the probability that she gets a multiple choice question, given that today's question was correct? We could write that as Okay, our probability that she gets a multiple choice question and correct divided by the probability of correct. And so now we have all that information. That formula is not too scary. We have all the information. And of course, we see that 0.56 is the probability that it's a multiple choice question and she gets it correct. And we see that 0.74 is the overall probability that she gets it correct. And so if we take a look at these two numbers, the probability is 0.757 or 75%. And there should be your answer to number 6. Hopefully you were able to understand that. If I helped you out today.